everyone, and welcome to this week's Easter edition of the Word on Wednesday. This week is Holy Week, and as we think about Easter and Easter Sunday and gathering in our church for our family service in the morning and our communion service in the evening, what I thought we would look at today for the Word on Wednesday was something that's very important to not only myself, but to Talita in particular, part of her family heritage. Talita, do you want to just tell us a little bit about that?
As some of you might know, I have a Jewish background, and on my dad's side of the family, there is a Jewish heritage and a Jewish culture, and this is something that's been passed on from generation to generation. So my parents celebrated the Pesach every year, and now it's my turn to teach my children to celebrate as well.
So the Pesach is a celebration of freedom. It's the festival that Jews celebrate the freedom of the Jewish people from the slavery of Egypt. It's a biblical study dinner. It's a historical remembrance where we look at the five senses of sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. And the purpose is to tell the Israelite history to the children and to pass it on from generation to generation. So we're going to go through that today, and I hope it's a real blessing to you as we look at the biblical account of the Passover in Exodus. So you may notice we have various elements here before us. We've got the bread, we have elements on this plate, and we've also got a candle. Usually at the beginning of the meal, the candle would be lit and there would be a blessing said. We've already taken the liberty to do that, and just to walk through the elements on the plate, we have the parsley, which would be dipped in salt water, and that's a sign of the tears of slavery. Then we have the egg, which is a symbol of spring and hope, because the Passover happened in spring, and Jesus also died at Passover time. We have also the lamb bone, which is the Pesach, which is the Hebrew name for the Passover holiday. On the Jews' last night as slaves in Egypt, each family shared a feast of roasted lamb. And so when God sent the frightening 10th plague to every house in Egypt, God passed over or skipped the houses where the Jews were getting ready to be freed. It was a sign, a symbol that God was going to bring them out of slavery. And then we have the bitter veg, which is the taste of slavery. So these are the most important ones that we'll be going through anyway. So what happens next is we would say a blessing over the children, because it's really important to have the children involved. But you'll notice it's just myself and Talita here. But what we did earlier on in the day was we did a take with Esther and Lydia. So at various points through this video, to help us on this journey to celebrate Passover, we're going to show various points where Esther and Lydia are involved. And this is now going to be one of those moments as I say the Aaronic blessing over them. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. So now we say the blessing of the wine, or for the children who be drinking grape juice. And to give us the full experience, I'm going to attempt to say this in Hebrew, but I will say it in English afterwards. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam borei pri hagafen, which means, blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine.
So the next step would be to wash your hands, and then we take the parsley, which is our bitter herb, and we dip in salt water, which represents the tears of the slaves. So I'm gonna pass it on to the girls. There you go. Do you want to dip it in salt water? Just a little bit. Thank you. Okay? It's weird, isn't it?
So the next step that we do is to break this bread. This is the unleavened bread, or it's called matzah. It's the bread of affliction which our fathers ate in the land of Egypt. And before I break it, I'm going to say the blessing for this bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. So what we then do is we put the bigger piece of the bread inside this. What's this called, Talita?
It's called the AFIKOMAN, and this will be hidden for the children to go and look for it later. And once they find it, they get a reward.
So for this next step, we continue to involve the children. And what they do is that they ask us 4 questions. And these surround the importance of this night. Why is this night so important? Why is it so significant? Why is it different from all other nights? And then after we've done that, we tell the story of Passover. We tell the story of how God delivered his people from bondage and from slavery in Egypt, and that they would know freedom. We say that our ancestors wandered and that they lived in Egypt and that they were a great nation at first, but they became slaves. They had to work very hard for Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. They were forced to build cities and pyramids. And they called out to God, and God heard them. He heard their suffering and their plight, and he promised that with a strong hand, an outstretched arm, and mighty signs and wonders, that he would deliver them. We also go through the 10 plagues. We see the 10 plagues of how God delivered them. That there was blood, there were frogs, there were lice, wild animals, cattle disease, sores, hail, locusts, darkness, and finally the death of the firstborn. On Passover, we will remember that we're grateful that extraordinary things happened to help us to go free, but we're sad that other people suffered whilst the people of God, people of Israel, were saved. Freedom was soon to come. A miracle happened. God sends a strong wind to push up the sea on both sides. For a moment, everything is quiet. And then they crossed into freedom. They burst into song. They were free at last.
The next step is to have another drink of the wine or grape juice, and then we wash our hands again, and then we make a sandwich. We take 2 pieces of the bread and we add the 3 elements of this plate, which is the symbol of freedom, and all together. We have some bitter herbs. Then you make a sandwich with the 3 elements of freedom.
Okay, now we need Esther and Lydia's involvement again, because the children are going to look for the AFIKOMAN and bring it back, and they will receive a reward. Okay, girls, go look for it. Go find it. Go on, Lydia. Go find it. There's a treat. Oh! Esther's. Wow!
I didn't know what it is. Well, I just find it easy to eat.
Oh, go give it to Daddy.
Well done. Well done, Lydia.
And there's your reward.
Whoa, Percy Pigs.
There's your reward.
Fantastic. So lastly, we ask the children to leave the door open for Elijah to see if he'll join us.
And we end the Seder by saying, next year in Jerusalem.
Thanks so much for joining us this week for our special Passover edition of the Word on Wednesday. Why did we do this? Well, we believe it's a really important part of what the Easter story is, because Jesus was a Jew and he celebrated Passover. And Jesus died at Passover time. He was the Passover lamb who came and enabled us to have our sins pass over by dying on a cross in our place and rising again on the third day. I hope this has been a real blessing to you and a great experience as it was to me when I first experienced it over 7 years ago, since I got married to Talita. And it's just been a really beautiful experience to be able to take part in over these years. So see you over the next few weeks. So we have some exciting guests on the Word on Wednesday. Stay tuned and have a blessed Easter.